Hey guys, welcome to my top 5 underrated cards for Commander. So, just before we get into it though, I would just like to put out 2 disclaimers. Number 1, these cards are not in any particular order. So, number 1 is not better than number 5, for instance. This is just me finding cards and then putting them in random order because there could be some speculation between cards, so I don't think it's fair to basically rate the cards from 1 to 5. Number 2, all I'm going to say is that metas are different around the world and the cards that we see from playgroup to playgroup are different. So one card that you might not see that I see a lot might feel underrated to you but not to me because I see it. Now with those things out of the way, let's get into the top 5 underrated cards. And for our 5th slot we have Coveted Jewel. For 6 colorless mana, it is an artifact that when it enters the battlefield, you draw 3 cards. You can also tap it to add 3 mana of any one color. There is a downside, however, of whenever one or more creatures opponent controls attacks you, and those creatures are not blocked, that player then draws 3 cards and gains control of Coveted Jewel, and they untap it, so they can use it on their turn. So how about we put this in a Zedruu the Great-Hearted deck for some politics? Telling an opponent something along the lines of, swing at me with your smallest creature, and I won't block so you can gain control of this lovely artifact. So they can draw 3 cards and add 3 mana of any one color. Also, that means that Zedruu's triggered ability will trigger, means we gain more value, and we just gain value out of our words rather than having to use another card. Another deck this can go well in is an artifact deck, like Daretti Scrap Servant, because we can either use it as a recursion method for the value, so drawing those 3 cards and using the mana right, or we can get rid of it at the point of where we don't need it anymore for the mana, so no one else gains the value of the card either. For our 4th card in the list is Reclamation Sage. It is 2 colorless and 1 green, so 3 converted mana cost overall, for a creature elf shaman, which reads, when this card enters the battlefield, you may destroy target artifact or enchantment. This card is incredibly good because there are a lot of cards that are 3 CMC in green, that instant or sorceries that just do what this card does, except you're getting a creature along with it. Now, what decks this can go into is things like Elves Tribal, Azuri, Renegade Leader. Again, you get that effect of destroying an artifact or enchantment while getting another elf in that could possibly be huge later on, getting the value and just the synergy overall. Another deck that this card will absolutely excel at is in Yarok the Desecrated, because Yarok just doubles those triggers of basically when creatures enter the battlefield or any permanent enters the battlefield. So you won't just destroy target artifact or enchantment one time, you can choose to destroy one artifact, 1 enchantment, or just any combination of the 2. The 3rd card on our list is called Far Wanderings. Its converted mana cost is 2 generic mana and 1 green, so it's 3 altogether. It's a sorcery that reads, search your library for a basic land card and put that card into play tapped. Then shuffle your library. Below that, it has Threshold. Instead, search your library for 3 basic land cards and put them into play tapped. Then shuffle your library. You have Threshold when you have 7 or more cards in your graveyard. So instantly what comes to mind for me is mill, self-mill. You want to mill yourself to be able to get the advantage of that Threshold. So basically a commander like Carador Ghost Chieftain is a great example of a great self-mill deck, and that's all the deck wants to do at the start of the game. Another card that came to mind, which is a newer card, is Cathriel Aspect Warper. You want to self-mill yourself so that you can basically get creature cards into the graveyard so you can get those counters on all your creatures. Our 2nd card on the list is Sakura Tribe Elder. Its converted mana cost is 1 generic and 1 green and equals up to 2 altogether. It's a creature snake shaman that reads, sacrifice Sakura Tribe Elder, search your library for a basic land card, put that card onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. This card is very good because 1, it comes into play once you've cast it, and there's no tap effect, it's a sacrifice effect. So you don't need haste on this card. If you want, you can just sacrifice it and grab the land to the battlefield. The second reason is because if you compare it to something like Rampant Growth, for instance, which has the same converted mana cost, the good thing about this card is it brings a creature for you. Because you don't have to wait for it to have haste, you can sack it at the end of the opponent before you end step turn, so that then you can get it onto the battlefield untapped, and you've basically had a blocker all that time around the table until it comes back to your opponent before you end step. The type of deck that Sakura Tribe Elder will fit perfectly into is something like a creature deck, like Nakia of the Old Ways. You don't want to be casting any non-creature spells really in Nakia of the Old Ways, since your whole goal is to get that creature out, and getting that extra land will turn into 2 mana. And the first card on our list for this top 5 underrated cards for Commander is called Caravan Vigil. Its CMC is 1 green mana, and that's it, so it's only 1, and it's a sorcery that reads: search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, pull it into your hand, then shuffle your library. But below that it has Morbid. You may put that card onto the battlefield instead of putting it in your hand if the creature died this turn. So the instant question we need to ask ourselves is, how do we trigger Morbid to get that extra value, which what makes this card good and better? So the answer to that is there's 2 ways. Either we send our creatures into combat and hope the opponents block our creatures and they die, or we use a sacrifice outlet like Phyrexian Altar, for instance, so we can do it instant speed or just do it on a turn to gain a mana, and also, as you can understand, get Morbid. The commander that this will work in very well is called Chatterfang Squirrel General, because the commander itself only costs 3 mana and it has a sacrifice outlet on it. And that is the end of our top 5 underrated commander cards. If you guys want to see more, comment, like, and share the video. Also tell me what you want to see in the comments. Tell me what you thought of the video and what I can do better. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Make sure to take a book out of the MTG library.